You got more and more younger Latinos entering the voting age, and they're increasingly identifying with the Democratic Party.
The Republican Party has begun a $10 million analysis of how to resurrect itself. The party especially wants to reach minority voters who voted by huge margins for President Obama last November. 93% of African Americans, 73% of Asian Americans, 71% of Hispanic Americans.
But they better look at reality. African Americans, Hispanics, and Asian Americans are now roughly 40% of the entire population and 30% of the electorate, and they vote 80% Democratic, and they are growing, whereas the white population, which votes 3-2 Republican, is diminishing. The problem is for the Republican Party, as more America looks more and more like the state of California, demographically, it will look like California politically, where we have not a single statewide office. Our congressional delegation is 2-1 outnumbered. The state legislature, both houses, is 2-1 outnumbered, and the Republicans are down to 31% of the vote. This is inexorable, and one of the problems is the Republican Party has never dealt with mass immigration, legal or illegal, and you got 40 million newcomers in this country in the last 40 years.
And when you look at where the base of the Republican Party is, 80% of them say, we want smaller government, fewer services. This was a Washington Post-Kaiser poll. 67% of Hispanics say, we want bigger government, more services. So on the fundamental role of government, you have a party, the Republican Party, that's not going to be able to reach where Hispanics are.
Democrats have won 18 states in the District of Columbia in 6 straight presidential elections. Among those 18 are 4 of the mega states, California, Pennsylvania, Illinois, and New York, and they've won Ohio and Florida twice. The whole country is trending Democratic, and when these 9 or 11 million Hispanics or illegal immigrants are made American citizens, by 3-1 they're going to vote Democratic, and there goes Texas.
Okay.
Mitt Romney did better than John McCain with every single possible demographic, including evangelicals. We were told, evangelicals won't vote for the Mormon. Every single religious group, Jews, evangelicals, Catholics, more of them voted for Mitt Romney than voted for McCain. The only 2 groups that voted more for McCain than for Romney were Asians and Hispanics, the 2 largest immigrant groups this country has been taking in for the last 30 years. I've said this before, Teddy Kennedy specifically designed his Immigration Act of 1965 to change America demographically without checking with the American people. It's virtually impossible to immigrate here from Europe now. About 80% of our immigrants for the last 30 years have come from the third world. About 60% of them go on welfare, much higher percentage than native-born Americans. This is so Democrats get themselves more voters. We have a more dependent society. We have people who want welfare, and we cannot get the votes of a dependent society without changing our principles.
What language this country is going to be speaking 50 years from
now? I know where the Southwest is going to be speaking.
You know what the Harvard professor predicted about 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago that we made much of?
Huntington, and he was exactly right.
What did he say?
Well, he said Huntington has the clash of civilizations, but he's also got the idea the great problem of America is immigration, mass immigration, because we're ceasing.
Well, what did he predict about our national culture and language?
We're basically going to lose the American
South.
South.
We're going to be a Hispanic, a Latin-speaking nation?
No, the American Southwest will be.
We're not losing it, we're enriching our culture.
Sorority girl, just in case you accidentally wander into a voting booth one day, there's some things you should know. One of them is there is absolutely no evidence to support the statement that we're the greatest country in the world. We're 7th in literacy, 27th in math, 22nd in science.
The Democrats have every incentive to increase rather than curtail illegal immigration. More illegal immigrants in the end mean more Democratic voters. Make a merit-based system. We have the pick of the litter. We could basically get the smartest people in the world to move to the United States with the stroke of the pen. And yet we bring people here based on criteria that are irrelevant. I mean, we bring a ton of low-skilled workers with no education who become generationally mired in the welfare system. And we could have a ton of, PhDs or striving engineering students or people who are going to help this post-industrial economy. And I don't exactly understand why we're importing all these people who join street gangs. Like, if you come from a country where a lot of people wind up joining street gangs, I think that we should limit immigration from that country, period.
De hermanos y hermanas que han perdido sus vidas tratando de llegar a los Estados Unidos de América a través de la frontera. Mariano Olivares Cárdenas, de 25 años.
Cristian Abel Sánchez Velázquez, de 20 años de edad.
Wilmer Oswaldo Castillo Aguirre, 17 años.
2 hombres no identificados y una mujer también que no ha sido identificada.
The time is now for comprehensive immigration reform for our veterans and for all of the American people. We must pass the legislation. Si se puede, si se puede, si se puede.
You said you're a U.S. citizen.
Yes.
Do you tell your members of Congress and your senators your thoughts about immigration?
Yes.
Do you call them and encourage them to vote?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you vote based
Yes.
on? Okay.
Always.